Chapter 1. The Watcher in the Void.
Kyle Tar adjusted the neural interface embedded in his skull, the device allowing him to seamlessly navigate the Vigilant Resolve systems. The sleek observation vessel drifted silently in low orbit above a blue and green world, teeming with primitive life. Earth, his first classified mission. He suppressed the thrill that bubbled in his chest, replacing it with the measured focus demanded of a loyal servant of the Galactic Council. The Council was the pinnacle of galactic civilization, a government of order, efficiency, and control. His rise through its ranks had been swift, thanks to his devotion and tactical brilliance. Now, here he was, alone, entrusted with a mission deemed vital by the highest echelons of power. Kale Tar initiated the planetary surveillance suite. On the screens before him, holographic projections sprang to life, rudimentary towns of stone and wood, crude trade networks carried on horseback, and battles waged with iron swords and flaming arrows. He watched these humans with a clinical detachment. They were an odd species, remarkably tenacious despite their limited intellect. He glanced at the sealed data packet marked Eyes Only, the Council's emblem glowing ominously on the cover. This was the true purpose of his mission. Monitoring Earth was routine. Understanding why humanity warranted such scrutiny was far more intriguing. He hesitated only a moment before authorizing the decryption. The hologram shifted, and a wealth of forbidden knowledge unfolded before him. The report began with an ancient image, towering silver spires piercing alien skies, thrumming with the energy of advanced technologies. Humanity's golden age. At the height of their power, humans had been the leaders of a vast interstellar alliance spanning thousands of worlds. Their ingenuity and diplomatic prowess had forged an era of unprecedented peace and cooperation. They were innovators, dreamers, and warriors when necessary. Kyle Tar's throat tightened as he read further. The Galactic Council, in its infancy, had seen humanity not as allies but as rivals. They viewed the humans' dominance as a threat to their own vision of centralized control. What followed was a betrayal of staggering proportions. The Council orchestrated a galaxy-wide coup, using a coalition of manipulated species to overpower humanity. Entire fleets were destroyed, planets bombarded, and humanity's allies scattered to the winds. The most chilling revelation was the Council's final act, the use of genetic devolution technology. Humanity's collective knowledge, their advanced biology, their memories of the stars, stripped away. What remained was a species reduced to primitive instincts, exiled to Earth, and isolated from the galactic stage. The Council sealed the truth under layers of secrecy, ensuring no trace of humanity's former glory would survive. Kyle Tar sat back, his breath shallow. He gazed at Earth below, the humans oblivious to the vastness of their history. How could such a vibrant civilization be reduced to this? He clenched his fists, pushing down the unease creeping into his thoughts. "This is justice," he whispered to himself, though the words felt hollow. The Council's doctrine was clear: peace through control, progress through order. Humanity had been a necessary casualty of that ideal. Still, doubts gnawed at the edges of his mind. Was this isolation truly for the greater good? And if humanity ever rediscovered their true nature, what would they become? The Vigilant Resolve's proximity alarms interrupted his thoughts. Kale Tar straightened and reviewed the data. A solar flare was building in Earth's star, its energetic particles threatening to disrupt the ship's cloaking field. He initiated evasive maneuvers, pulling the vessel further into orbit. As the ship repositioned, Kale Tar caught a final glimpse of Earth's surface. Smoke rose from a distant battlefield, the humans locked in another of their endless wars. He sighed, dismissing his misgivings as the product of inexperience. The Council's mission was clear: humanity must remain in isolation, their potential buried forever. But deep within, a flicker of doubt refused to extinguish. As the Vigilant Resolve drifted into the dark void, Kale Tar couldn't shake the feeling that this primitive, forgotten species might one day surprise the galaxy and the Council. Chapter 2. Embers Among the Stars. The starship Dawning Horizon slid gracefully through the void, its hull glinting faintly in the light of distant stars. Commander Lila Moreau stood on the bridge, her posture stiff but her expression calm as she scanned the displays around her. This was humanity's first true step into the stars. For centuries, Earth had looked skyward with longing, but now, with the advent of faster-than-light, FTL, travel, The barriers of distance and time had finally crumbled. "Status update?" she asked, her voice sharp with professional urgency.
FTL drive is stable, Lieutenant Novak replied from the helm. We're maintaining course toward the She-39 star system. Estimated time to arrival, 16 hours.
Lila nodded. She glanced at the crew, all of them brimming with a mix of excitement and tension. Humanity's first foray into deep space wasn't just a scientific venture. It was a declaration that Earth had finally ascended beyond its cradle. Still, she couldn't shake the weight of her role as chief of security. Out here, the unknown wasn't just an abstract concept, it was a constant threat. Several hours later, the unknown became startlingly real.
Commander, Novak called out. We're detecting an unidentified vessel on long-range sensors.
The bridge fell silent. Lila stepped closer to the central console, her sharp eyes narrowing. Details: small craft, no known configuration. It's stationary, about 5,000 clicks off our trajectory. Life signs?
Novak hesitated. 1 week.
Lila's pulse quickened. Bring us within visual range, but keep shields up and weapons on standby. Let's not assume it's friendly. The dawning horizon crept toward the vessel, its crew tense and silent. As the alien ship appeared on their forward screens, a murmur spread across the bridge. The craft was old, its hull battered and pockmarked with age and damage. Strange glyphs adorned its sides, glowing faintly in a language none of them recognized. "Opening hailing frequencies," Lila said, her voice steady despite the unease swirling in her chest. A crackling voice answered.
Stay back. Do not approach further.
The speaker's tone was weary, almost resigned. Lila leaned forward, activating her comm. "This is Commander Lila Moreau of the Dawning Horizon. We mean you no harm. Are you in need of assistance?" A pause, then, "Assistance? No, but perhaps we can help each other." The image on the comm screen resolved, revealing the face of the alien pilot. He was reptilian, his scales dulled and scarred, his eyes sunken. He introduced himself as Rex, a trader whose luck had run out. His ship was stranded, its power systems failing. "What kind of trade are you suggesting?" Lila asked cautiously. Rex leaned forward, his eyes glinting. "Information. Vital, dangerous information about your kind. I know who you are. Humans."
Lila froze. The bridge erupted in confused whispers.
"Explain," she demanded. Rex's voice grew grave. "Your people have been kept in ignorance by a power greater than you can imagine. The Galactic Council. They rule the stars with an iron grip, and they fear what you represent. I can give you the truth of your origins, but I require payment. Something valuable." Lila exchanged a glance with Captain Rourke, who stood silently nearby. The captain nodded. "What do you want?" Rex's gaze flicked toward the readings of their cargo. "Power cells! Yours are advanced. More advanced than I expected from primitives. 5 of them. And I'll tell you everything." After a brief, tense deliberation, the crew agreed. A shuttle delivered the power cells, and in return, Rex transmitted a data packet to the Dawning Horizon. Lila and the senior officers gathered in the briefing room, their faces lit by the eerie glow of the holographic file. It began with a stunning revelation: humanity's ancient dominion over the galaxy. The records described an advanced civilization that had unified countless worlds through diplomacy and innovation. Humanity had once been the architects of a galactic golden age. Then came the betrayal. The Galactic Council, a fledgling organization at the time, had orchestrated humanity's downfall. Through subterfuge, they had rallied other species to destroy Earth's fleets and dismantle its alliances. The final blow was the de-evolution of humanity, stripping them of their technological and cultural heritage and confining them to Earth. The officers sat in stunned silence as the last image faded.
"This can't be true,"
Rourke muttered, though his voice betrayed his uncertainty. Lila's mind raced. It felt impossible, but there was a kernel of truth in the fragments of history Earth still remembered: myths of gods and golden ages, inexplicable ancient technologies. She clenched her fists, her instincts telling her the file was real. "What do we do with this?" she asked, her voice low. Rourke stood, his expression grim.
"We report to Earth. This changes everything."
As the Dawning Horizon set course for home, Lila gazed out at the stars, her heart heavy with a mixture of anger and resolve. Humanity had been robbed of its destiny, reduced to nothing more than a forgotten footnote in galactic history. But now, they knew the truth. And truth, she realized, was the most powerful weapon of all. Chapter 3. The Return of the Light. The vast galactic core glowed like a cosmic furnace, a seething swirl of light and energy surrounded by countless fleets. Amid the maelstrom, the combined armada of humanity and its allies moved into position. At its head, the flagship Dawning Horizon stood as a symbol of Earth's resurgence, its gleaming hull bearing the marks of countless battles fought in the shadows. On the bridge, Commander Lila Moreau surveyed the tactical display. The enemy forces of the Galactic Council loomed large, their fleet a dark, ominous mass spread across the grid. Every fiber of her being felt the weight of this moment. Today wasn't just about humanity reclaiming its place among the stars. It was about dismantling centuries of tyranny.
All ships report readiness, Lieutenant Novak said, his voice steady despite the tension crackling through the air.
Lila nodded. Open the channel. The faces of the Allied fleet commanders appeared on the screen. An eclectic mix of species, the feline Aurelians, the crystalline Ethos, and the towering multi-limbed Volrics, among others. Once subjugated by the Council, they now stood united under humanity's banner. You know why we're here, Lila said, her voice carrying the weight of conviction. The Council has ruled through fear and suppression for too long. Today we end their reign. For your people, for ours, for every world that's suffered under their tyranny. We fight! A chorus of affirmations filled the channel. As the connection closed, Lila turned to Captain Rourke, now a grizzled veteran of the rebellion. He gave her a single nod.
Begin the assault.
The Allied fleet surged forward. The Council's forces responded in kind, their massive capital ships releasing swarms of fighters and bombers. The first clash was blinding, a cacophony of explosions and energy beams lighting up the void. Lila gripped to the edge of the console as the Dawning Horizon shuddered under the strain of its shields.
Enemy fighters approaching,
Novak called out. Deploy interceptors. Focus fire on their flanks, Lila ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. The battle unfolded with brutal intensity. The Allies' tactics, honed through years of preparation, allowed them to exploit the Council's rigid command structure. Aurelian strike groups danced through the enemy ranks, their sleek ships delivering pinpoint attacks. Volric dreadnoughts absorbed devastating fire, their massive cannons retaliating with overwhelming force. Even so, the Council's forces were vast and well-equipped. Entire Allied squadrons were obliterated as the battle raged on, and the toll weighed heavily on Lila. Commander, their flagship is holding back, Novak said, highlighting a massive vessel on the display. It's coordinating their forces. If we can neutralize it...
We turn the tide, Lila finished. She keyed the comm to the Allied fleet. This is Commander Moreau. Focus all fire on the Council flagship. Cut off the head of the beast.
As the Allied fleets converged on the flagship, the Dawning Horizon led the charge. Enemy ships swarmed to defend their command vessel, and the battle intensified. Lila coordinated the attack with precision, her orders flowing seamlessly to Allied commanders. The Dawning Horizon breached the enemy line, its weapons tearing through smaller vessels as it closed in on the flagship. Lila led a boarding team, donning her combat gear and stepping into the shuttle bay with grim determination.
Ready? She asked, glancing at her squad.
Yes, Commander, they replied in unison. The shuttle launched under heavy fire, weaving through the chaos to dock with the flagship. The boarding party breached the hull and entered the labyrinthine corridors, their weapons at the ready. Resistance was fierce. Council soldiers fought desperately to repel the invaders. Lila's team pushed forward, their training and resolve carrying them through the storm of combat. They reached the flagship's command center, where the Council's ruling elite had gathered. Lila entered the room, her weapon aimed steadily at the figures before her. The counselors, alien beings of varied forms, radiated a cold arrogance even in the face of defeat. "This is over," Lila said. "Surrender, and your lives will be spared." One of the counselors, a tall, insectoid figure, hissed in defiance.
"You think this changes anything? The galaxy needs us. Without the Council, there will be chaos."
Lila's eyes narrowed. "The galaxy needs freedom, not your lies." Before the counselor could respond, a blinding flash of light erupted as Allied forces breached the chamber's defenses. The counselors were subdued, their control severed. Back on the dawning horizon, the bridge erupted in cheers as the enemy fleet began to crumble. The loss of their command structure had thrown the Council's forces into disarray, and the Allies pressed their advantage. Lila returned to the bridge, her face streaked with grime, but her expression resolute. The battle was won, but the cost was heavy. Ships burned in the void, and the dead numbered in the thousands. As the Council's flagships fell silent, Captain Rourke stepped beside her. "It's over." "No," Lila said softly, her gaze on the stars. "It's just beginning." In the days that followed, the Allies declared victory. The Galactic Council was disbanded, its remaining members taken into custody or fleeing into exile. Humanity emerged as a leader once more, not as conquerors, but as liberators. Lila stood on the bridge of the dawning horizon, now a symbol of the new galactic coalition. Peace would take time to rebuild, and wounds would take generations to heal, but the light of hope had returned to the galaxy. "Set a course," she said. "To where, Commander?" Novak asked. Lila smiled faintly. "To the future